Good afternoon, you guys. I'm going to bring you guys a review of Belle Collective. We're to the point now where we're over this fiasco, which was called the actual meeting of the minds, as I say, the actual brunch. As you know from my last review, it actually was a complete total disaster. Le- Leticia is to the point that she's still trying to get over that one. It is what it is, but we moved on. Child Letitia to the point now she's basically trying to make amends with the fact that her husband Glenn actually did cheat. According to her, allegedly there is a baby. We're not for sure whether or not it is a baby, but it is a rumor. He decides that he wants to invite his wife, or they still are married, out for dinner. Glenn has a hidden agenda. He basically is trying to woo her back, trying to get her to come home. Like Letitia tells him, quote unquote, it's a privilege to be with her. I think Glenn is one of those people where he thinks that, it's just little talk that he does with her actually will get her to actually come home. Me personally, after a while, I think he's actually gonna get her to actually come home per se. But I think right now she's just trying to play hard to get. She basically breaks down and cries and says that he does this every time something happens. So I'm thinking from what she said, this nice first time being, cheating or whatever. I think one thing Glenn thinks that, he can do whatever he want to do, and Letitia's gonna be that right there in the wings waiting for him to do whatever. I think right now he's really, like he said, missing his family. He kept saying, I thought we were a team. She was like, yes, we were a team until you decide that you want to step out of the marriage. Like she said, if this ain't your cup of tea, it just ain't your cup of tea. He basically lets her know that he'll do anything in the world to actually get them back. He said he misses her and their son. She basically right now is staying with her mom. He gets he's still in the family home. He's trying to woo her back, trying to get her back. Like he told her that he needs her to come home. After the initial day, he was basically asking her would she come and go home with him. She told him no. She says not one of the things where she gonna slip up and let him woo her back into the bedroom. She says how it happens. He basically apologized. Next thing you know, they having sex again. I think it's one of the things where she's afraid to be alone with him because she feel like at this point she's vulnerable and that she really gonna fall into the trap and get back into what is called Mr. Glenn. Me personally, I think if she do take him back, I think eventually Glenn gonna do okay for a minute and then he gonna get back into his old way. That's just my opinion. I think it's one of the things where he got to, realize that it's not her that's the problem, it's him. If he wants to be with her, he needs to take their relationship serious, and most importantly, he needs to quit cheating. That's one of those things that she can't control. Glenn has to be to the point where he's ready to man up and realize that he's not only the problem, but he needs to change his ways. Hopefully, he'll learn his lesson. He'll realize what he lost when he stepped out on Letitia. He won't take her for granted this time, and maybe they can rekindle the marriage. We're to the point where Marie's actual assistant slash partner decides that she wants to go and visit Miss Lucretia. Miss Lucretia is actually a boss baby, as she says. She actually is the actual CEO of Goddess Extensions. They're in the middle of actually wrapping up for the day, and Miss Essie decides she wants to come in and Lucretia's already throwing shade. She said, "Girl, I could have sworn I smelled some white diamonds. If you know about white diamonds, that's an old fragrance from back in the day. It was the bomb.com back then, I think, but the shade was that she trying to say it was like it was coming like from an older lady. When she comes in, she asks tells Lucretia she needs to talk to her or whatever. They sit down, they talk or whatever, they greet each other. And she basically said she starts throwing shade again. She said, "What you want to come here for a makeover?" She said, "Ooh, child, you already throwing shade." She said, "No, I'm just trying to figure out what you need and what you want from me." She said, "Based on here, to trying to, mend fences when it comes to you and Marie." She said, even though you feel like you weren't the one who actually put the information out about Marie's company, you actually were the one who turned the knife. So therefore, you actually are just as much to blame. If you're not familiar with what they're talking about, basically what Essie is saying is that Lucretia has been accused by Marie of actually saying false stuff about her actual company, and as a result, they lost clients and actually lost money behind it. She basically trying to say that the actual company that Marie had was actually a scam, and I think a lot of people was believing it more so than not. And as a result, they lost money and clients. And Essie was at the point, I guess she still was one of Marie's business partners. And like she told her, she said, you throwing shade about, where you are, but you in the hood. She said, yeah, I might be in the hood, but I'm in the hood because this is where I want to be, and this is where my people are to actually, show love, and most importantly, my clients are. And she was like, well, y'all might be over there in the so-called upper class, but y'all are on the corner. That was another little shade thrown by Miss Lucretia. And basically what Esther throw back to her, she said, well, me and Marie are basically licensed cosmetologists as well. We also have a hair extension line. And she basically let her know, Lucretia said, I appreciate y'all being inspired by me. She was like, baby, no, we're not inspired by you. It is what it is. Like I told you, we are licensed cosmetologists, so we had to put our little hand and dip our toe in that as well. And as a result, we are successful with that as well. So they decided they're going to agree to disagree. Lucretia decides that, she's going to meet up with Marie. Like she told her she want to squash it. She said, ain't no need of two bosses actually be around here being at odds over something that's old. At the end of the day, Marie wants Lucretia to take accountability. Like she told her at the brunch, she said if she's not gonna take accountability and admit her wrong in this, then ain't no need for her to apologize. So hoping this time they do meet up, that Lucretia actually apologize and admits her wrong, and that way maybe her and Marie can move forward. She also lets us know that Marie has leukemia, and at the end of the day, she don't need that added stress. So she lets her know that she sends her condolences and prayers for Marie, and she hopes that Marie's get better. Hopefully, when these two ladies meet, they can squash the beef and move forward. Also, to the point where we meet Miss Lakisha. Lakisha is actually married to Willie. Willie is an actual ex-football player. Lakisha has came back to her roots, which is Mississippi, so that she can actually start work on the actual what is it, LaRue Street. In other words, it's like a district down in there where they actually have a lot of office buildings or whatever, but it's mostly to the point where she decided this is going to be where she actually brings uh her city and state back to life in her words. Her husband is to the point he is from New York. He lets Akisha know that he doesn't really want to move down south. Like Akisha said, you had basically have kidnapped me, and I've been up there 10 years. So it's one of the things my family had to travel up there to see me. But I want to come back and be closer to my family now while we are working on that project. He lets her know that he does support her as far as the the actual revamping the district is concerned, but he's not ready to be in this particular town permanently. He She arranges a meeting with Soguchi, who actually is a realtor, and they decided they were going to look at houses. Like he said, they came from a big house to the fact that they, had to downsize. And he said the house, once they did get into the house, he said he liked it so far. But like he said, he feels like her showing the house to him makes him think that this is going to be a permanent thing. That's not what he signed up for. She assures him that, they still got to have somewhere to live. And like she said, she's really downsizing when it comes to anything anyway, because she already said in her mind that she was not going to be renting, but if they did purchase the home, it would be a rental. So it wouldn't be per se like he's saying be a permanent fixture. Like she said, she got to have room for her and her kids to actually, dwell. He seems like he's not really on board with it. Like he told her he wanted to see some more houses. She was like, okay, we can do that. But it's one of those things where I think she's trying to set up some roots and kind of, eventually, yes, the longer he stay, maybe he'll eventually stay, permanently. She said the main thing was, the project would take at least 2 years, so she needed to at least have another home. So I'm assuming their home in New York, they still own their home. They have not let go of their actual home. But I think it's one of those things where it's gonna be a twist and turn type of thing. I don't think it's gonna be one really gonna want to live down south. I guess he's a true New Yorker. He really getting to the point that he got to get used to it. But she basically said something that's really really cute. She said she might be a Southern girl, but he a country boy because some of the things he does are true, tried and true, are country boy type things. He basically laughs and tell her, yeah, it is what it is, but he has to be true to what he is. He's a native New Yorker. So we're gonna see how that thing pans out between them, whether or not they get to, be able to, get set on maybe one house or whatever. And most importantly, we'll see whether or not so Gucci is actually a realtor that sells them the home or however it goes. But this particular episode, we went to the point we got a lot of fighting amongst the ladies. We ain't had that going on. Leticia basically has a chance to speak to Akila about what happened at the luncheon. She basically said that, I feel like you was being a little shady when you was talking about the plate. She was like, no, it wasn't. I was trying to be shady. I was just trying to bring your attention to you, girl, that your actual silverware was dirty, but I am not, I repeat, not gonna eat off no dirty silverware. Uh, in this particular episode, in this particular season, they're trying to paint the narrative that Lakisha is, a well-to-do lady, and most importantly, she knows she's an uppity type person, and she kind of put on persona that maybe she feel like she better than the rest of the girls. Keisha said, "Not, it's not that way. She don't want people to have that kind of perspective about her." She said, "It is what it is." She said what she said. So we move on to Miss Tamara. Tamara's to the point where they basically going to get to the point they're actually going to tell her that her man is not what she thinking he was, and that's actually faithful. Basically what it is, the narrative is that Lakisha's friend is saying that she actually was dating him at the same time. Tamara actually tells her that ain't no way they actually dating, and most important, ain't no way she got him line, and sinker, and most importantly, he got his mind warped like she pretending to be. I think it's one of the things where Tamara is actually in denial about the situation. I think she don't want to believe that this her guy is actually being unfaithful, considering that they are trying to conceive a child. Me personally, I think it's going to be one of those things where the cat is out the bag, and it's going to be a lot of back and forth. We really hadn't got to the point where we actually find out what his side of the story is. Hopefully he won't deny it, but I think more likely that's probably what he gonna do. But this particular lady claims that she has receipts, and that yes, they were, messing around or whatever. And they're asking her whether or not she knew about Tamara. She was like, "No, I didn't know about her per se." Me personally, I think she knew, because at the end of the day, if she didn't know, why she decided now to actually come out and say something, considering that she knew Lakisha actually knew Tamara. I think it's one thing was really gonna be hurtful for Tamara, because at the end of the day, like I told you guys, she is trying to conceive. Tamara has been unsuccessful in the past with conceiving. This time she said she's gonna do in vitro fertilization, as far as trying to conceive a child, but she's wanting her actual the guy in question that they're speaking of to actually raise the family with. And I think eventually she wanted him to marry her, but she wasn't ready for the fact that, he was being unfaithful. I really gave him the side eye when she brought him on last season anyway, considering the circumstances of how they met. Now, they used to date back in the day, but now it seemed like she was more and more drawn to him, considering the fact that, her biological clock was ticking, and she was to the point where she really, really needed to conceive a child. I think it's one of the things where she really was going to do it naturally, but now she said she needed a little more help, so she decided she was gonna go down the road of in vitro fertilization. We are gonna be, present and see what this journey gives her as far as trying to conceive a child. Hopefully, she will conceive a child, but most importantly, hope she don't gain a cheater. We got enough cheaters in here, namely Mr. Glenn. We're gonna see whether Mr. Glenn gets this woman, and see whether or not he can kind of talk Miss Lakisha down and wear her down, and maybe get her to come back home. I think eventually his little plan gonna work. He gonna keep demon and scheming and doing what he do. But like he told her, he wants to have a date with her again. This time they won't have all that arguing. They just basically, vibe and talk about each other. He basically notices when she come dressed, she got on her little cat suit with little peekaboos in there. He said, well, she know what it takes to get his attention. In his mind, he said he felt like she wore that outfit intentionally in order to entice him. I think so as well. One of the things what you want him to see, hey, this is what you've been missing. It is what it is. They actually had a great little dinner or whatever. It was like at a New Orleans style type restaurant. It is what it is. But I think it was more so, they was basically a meeting of the minds. They basically trying to come to a decision on whether or not they're going to rekindle their relationship, or they gonna move on. Like she said, he had her looking stupid in these streets, and it is what it is, considering that she is his wife. She didn't want the scandal to come out that actually he was cheating, but I think it's one of the elephants in the room where he got to figure out also whether or not he has a kid with this particular person. I personally want to see how this thing pans out and see whether or not he actually has a child, because we already know, you know, he did cheat. But like she said again, I reiterate, Miss Keisha told him, she gonna let him feel her this time, because at the end of the day, it's a privilege to be with her. Like she said, you're not gonna be playing with my emotions. If you're to the point where you feel like you got somebody else that can, meet your needs, and you need to do what you do. But if you're gonna be with me, you need to be just with me, and we need to be, sacred, and most importantly, keep our relationship within the home, which I can understand, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to look crazy in these streets, and most importantly, nobody wants to find their husband has an outside kid. So we're gonna see. whether or not Glenn's little tactics work, whether or not he's ready to swoop Miss Lakisha off her feet and actually get her to come back home. But I will keep you guys posted on Belle Collective. This season is pretty much giving, it is what it is. I actually like this season. Season one was great, but season two is, they coming back and they bring a lot more better storylines, and I like it is what it is. We're gonna see what Miss Marie does. Hopefully her health will get better. Hopefully she will consider staying celibate as she says and being away from that husband of hers, because according to her, he's a serial cheater as well. Hence the reason why they are separated. But it was the fact that she was saying that she was gonna buy him an actual watch or some type of watch to actually make him, in other words, be a father. In other words, it was a gift to actually try to get him to do something he should have been doing all along. I think one thing Marie been trying to buy him from the beginning. It is what it is, and he kind of pretty much is pursuing and try to, making her do something she don't really want to do. Hopefully, she will, find her inner boss, and most importantly find some self-esteem and go ahead and push along with the divorce, because at the end of the day you can tell he manipulate her even though they are not actually physically together and he does not live in their home. But we're gonna continue praying for Miss Marie. Maybe she'll get herself together and her health will get better. But this particular episode, like I told you guys, it was giving. It is what it is. I enjoyed the episode from the beginning to the end. But I am patiently waiting to see the meet up between Miss Marie and Leticia. I hope Miss Tisha come to the point where she actually is going to have accountability. Because Marie said if she don't got no accountability, she don't want to hear that apology. I don't want it to be another episode of the brunch where they both basically meet up, everybody get to hooping and hollering, nobody gets to the point where they actually come to an actual decision and nothing resolved. We'll see what it is. Miss Essie, basically laid out what it was, said what it said, and she met up with Lakisha at her ex salon and told her what it was, and we'll see what it is. Maybe on the next episode they actually bring us that actual meeting of the minds, so we'll get a chance to get a front row seat and see what Miss Marie Plaza has to say and Miss Leticia. But it is what it is. I appreciate you guys for rocking with the channel. I appreciate those who actually new here to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody that's been day one. I appreciate you as well. And if you're to the point you actually come across this video, do your girl a favor. Look at the video all the way through. Once you're done, please leave me a comment. And most importantly, give your girl a like. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.